Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank, our country, your bank, and Smart, bringing people together.
Live from the GBM studios in Belize City, it's Open Your Eyes. Start your morning right with your hosts, April Martinez and Isani Caetano.
Good morning and welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right.
I'm April Martinez.
And I am Isani Caetano. Good morning.
Good morning. And it is Monday morning and we have a jam-packed show lined up for you all this morning. Starting first, we have an exclusive conversation with former mayor of Belize City, Mr. Daryl. It's going to be a great conversation. Following that, we're going to be talking about breaking stigma during Men's Health Awareness Month. Following, we have Galen will be speaking on navigating AI in education, empowering Belizean businesses through digital transformation. And when we'll also be discussing creating sweet surprises with delightful sweet baskets. And then finally, we are going to be wrapping up with a hot topic to debate. The question says, does the 13th Amendment protect minority rights or put them at greater risk? Isani, good morning.
Good morning, April. It's Monday the 14th of July. We're already at the middle of the month, right?
Don't talk to me about how fast this month has gone already. I feel like it's just zoomed right before my eyes. It's already the middle.
Perhaps it's a good thing. But hey, before we get into our conversation, here are the 5 things you need to know this morning. The United Democratic Party rift continues as Patrick Farber disrupted the NPC meeting over the weekend. The NTUCB marched over the weekend as well, celebrating its 59th anniversary. All right. Belize joins the push along with CARICOM for an integration of workers migrating across the region. All right. We're also going to be discussing the Wimbledon. Wow. That's an interesting one, right? Yes. Only because there are a lot of watch enthusiasts who are, watching the different wristwear at the Wimbledon. And last but not least, KTV Live show continues tomorrow at the Blaze. Those are the 5 things you want to know. But this morning, we're going to be discussing the NTUCB's march over the weekend.
Yes.
So, April, all the unions descended on Belize City on Saturday, including the Public Service Union, the Belize National Teachers Union, and of course the UBFSU, right? This comes on the heels of the joint unions negotiating team, in essence, agreeing to the last proposal that was presented by the British administration with respect of the demands that the joint had been making for several weeks, and we covered that extensively. Right, so we're going to depart for a second from the joint and the unions that they represent. And we're going to talk a bit about what's taking place with the University of Belize.
Yes.
So UB is in somewhat of a similar position where they're saying that for over a decade they haven't received an adjustment, so to speak, right? A 9% they're asking for. And what is interesting to me is the fact that it's somewhat similar to what the unions had been clamoring for. And my question is timing. Should they not have, or perhaps should they have latched on to the joint's position when they were out there demonstrating and pushing for what they wanted in terms of the government being able to satisfy its end of this agreement? Should they not have? That's my question.
Yes. No, I agree with you, Isani. I think that However, it's something important to remember about UBFSU. It's still a very young union. It's still grappling with a lot of internal issues as we all are aware of in terms of their former president, Mr. Dr. Kiyosaki. All of their internal disputes and so forth have kind of allowed them to kind of take a step back in the shadows in terms of what all of these other unions have been negotiating over the past few months. Now that they've taken leadership under Dr. Passos, it seems that they are now ready to take on the mantle. They're ready to negotiate with the government and so forth for this subvention. So timing is, yes, it's a little bit off, but I would question how ready they were when Junt was actually at the table.
And the reason I brought that up, April, is because you would recall, and it was fairly recent, so
Yes.
it's fresh in most people's minds, that at the time when the unions were pushing, you have all these other unions that came on board with their own plight with the government of
Right.
Belize, including the KHMH-A Workers Union, right? They're also clamoring for pension, for them to be pensionable. So that was just one area, and I believe at some point the Police Association got in on it as well.
Yes.
So then where was UBFSU at the time? That's just the question. But I think for persons who work at the university, and it's Belize's flagship tertiary university, right? They've been at it for the better part of 10 years, if not longer in some cases, and they haven't seen, you know, any movement in terms of their salaries, in terms of how they're compensated for the work that they do. So it's a legitimate cause or a legitimate reason being brought forward.
Yeah.
But there's also this question that looms, right? If the government of Belize, the Britannia administration, was already saying to the teachers and public officers, where are we going to get this 8% from? And at the end of it all, they satisfied for 4.5% and the remaining over a period of time.
Yes.
So then the question is, okay, so how is it going to approach what the UBFSU are asking for? Granted, the UBFSU seems to be a smaller number of faculty and staff who form that union. So maybe it's attainable, I don't know. But I understand that the parties involved met on Thursday with the Minister of Education and other stakeholders, if I could use that description, right? So it's a matter for us to see in the days ahead what takes shape insofar as the Britannia administration being able to respond to these demands.
Yeah, I think that with the UBFSU, they have to be very careful how they also formulate their demands, seeing as they are a statutory body, seeing as they are run by a semi-quasi board and so forth. So, and it's also important to note that the demands of the UBFSU are not just to benefit faculty and teachers and lecturers and so forth, but they also have staff. And so the weighing balances of what their demands are with this 9%, you have to take a closer look at the details of their proposal.
Yeah.
But Isani, there is a lot to unpack. There's so many things that happened over the course of the weekend, but we also have a full lineup for this show this morning. What we're gonna do now is take our first break. And when we come back, we'll be having an exclusive conversation with former Mayor Daryl Bradley. Don't go away, we'll be right back.
My name is Leomar Langsert, and I'm a teacher, and I bank with Belize Bank Independence Branch. What I enjoy is the safety features that the app offers. I have a sense of not having to worry or be concerned about somebody finding my password and username to sign in the application because of the use of the one-time password. And another feature that I love, that I use the most, is how the app synchronizes with my fingerprint on my device. I enjoy the rapid and easy, seamless process to apply for loans through the Belize Bank, and I don't have to be having too much back and forth to visit or take time to visit the bank. They also start to offer the online applications through the app for loan applications, which I believe is very neat. I would definitely recommend Belize Bank to other teachers because one of all the features and advantages that the app offer, with these online that Belize Bank offered, is basically everything that you can do in the palm of your hand. So I would definitely recommend the bank to other teachers.
This is the new era of the Mexican Caribbean. A whole spectrum of colors and hues, multi-dimensional cuisine, holographic beaches. The true new era is within you.
Veracidad, imparcialidad.
Hemos estado haciendo el trabajo como organización.
Y tus noticias en español.
Están en aguas beliceñas, entonces esta bandera se queda aquí.
Sintoniza Canal 5 cada viernes a las 7 de la noche.
Tenemos que resolver dos grandes problemas de este país.
Su voz importa, su acción cuenta.
Transfusión sanguínea, elementos que indican un deterioro evidente del estado de salud.
Somos Noticiero 5 semanal.
Perdió la vida en un heroico intento de proteger a su hermano. El Tribunal de Magistrados de la ciudad de Belice se paralizó. La policía está investigando 2 asesinatos separados.
Tu fuente de información.
And welcome back. Our first conversation this morning is with former Belize City Mayor Daryl Bradley. He's here to talk to us this morning about happenings within the United Democratic Party and, of course, everything that we need to know in terms of where you are in your political career, where you are in your professional life as well. Good morning.
Good morning.
Daryl.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. I just want to say that I can't speak for the United Democratic Party.
But you're an observer.
I am an observer.
Much like the rest of us,
yes.
right? And I'm certain that you have an opinion on what's taking place.
Of course.
All right. So let's start there. So there was an NPC over the course of the weekend. Perhaps this is the third over the period of a year, right? The previous 2 fell apart in spectacular fashion. Saturday wasn't without its flair and its own drama, right? What do you make of what you see happening within the UDP?
Well, to a certain extent, I'm hopeful that the United Democratic Party could get it together and the party could emerge unified under one leader. And I'm also disheartened because within the democratic space, you need an opposition. And we've traditionally always been a 2-party system. And I think for the health of our democracy, for a government that is accountable and built on good democratic values, you need 2 parties. And you need 2 vibrant, well-organized, robust parties that offer people a division. And it was obvious in the last election that we didn't really have that choice. And when you don't have that choice, you don't really have a spirited public debate about options and where we want to move the country forward.
Now, this infighting within the UDP has dragged on, some would say, for far too long. If you're talking about being able to form, in this case, a robust opposition that could stand up against the government of the day, whenever the UDP get together, it doesn't seem as if though there's unity.
Yeah.
It seems that there's more chaos than anything else. Let's look at it from a bit broader perspective where opposition to what is taking place in government, at this point, there really isn't, or it doesn't feel as if though there's any opposition to be had, other than the media stepping in at some points to create some kind of check and balance.
No, and that's true, and that's critical. You need a formal opposition in the centers of government, so in the National Assembly, in the House meetings and the Senate, that can get access to information, that is there when legislation is being passed, and that can put that perspective to represent a different voice. And without that, our democracy is really crippled. I remember in our history, we've had fragmented political parties. The United Democratic Party is a merger of three political parties, which were really very small and splintered. And it was with that force that they first formed the government in 1984. So I think within our democracy, you really need that. And there's a lot of people who support the United Democratic Party, traditionally and even now. And you want to give those people who are not supporters of the government an organized voice that they could channel dissent. So you were talking earlier on about the protests and issues with the unions and so forth, but those are civil society agencies. You want something that feeds into the formal political structure and that can give people an option in relation to electoral seats, and that can potentially form a government leading the country in a different direction.
We look at the issues that are taking place within the opposition. As somebody from the outside, and I think I can speak for the viewers' behalf on behalf of the viewers when I say that it's all a little bit confusing to us. And I can safely say that with having conversations with all opposition leaders, including the former UDP leader and the current one. We still haven't really fully understood how they utilize the Constitution to be able to uphold the actions that they have been taking over the past few years.
Of course.
So how are we as citizens supposed to understand what to do with this issue, or how are we supposed to look at this issue when they're saying, I am politically correct because I am using the Constitution, I am the one that is doing it correctly, and the other person is saying the same thing?
Well, one of the things that I would want to respond is understanding what leadership is about. Leadership is about service and sacrifice. And one of the things that I'm oftentimes very humbled by, I remember in this is an American context, this was the vice president then, Al Gore, and he contested the election against George Bush. And he lost, but he felt that he won. He took it to court, and he gave a famous speech, concession speech, which said that I understand that I won. I am vociferously in opposition with what is going on, but for the good of the nation, I will offer my concession. And I think in leadership, we have to realize that it's bigger than us. This is not about who leads the United Democratic Party. This is about the hundreds of thousands of Belizeans who want a better life, and government whose primary obligation is to provide an enabling environment to allow people to experience a quality living that promotes human dignity and social transformation. So the thing that I look at, and I'm very worrisome in the United Democratic Party, is that all of this is noise. No one cares about that. Get it together and lead a vision for the country that offers people a viable option to move the country forward, so that in terms of the Constitution, the political decision making, what mechanism, people don't really, they're not interested in that. They're not interested really in who is the leader of the opposition. They want somebody who can bring the party together, somebody who can offer a viable alternative, and somebody who can bring ideas to fray that will transform the country.
At this point, however, because the party is so factionalized, it seems that there is an, they'll forgive my language here, it seems more like a pissing contest than anything else, in terms of the two parties constantly bucking heads and failing to coalesce into one, and then presenting or mounting a formidable opposition.
Yeah. Well, this again, it goes back to the question, what's my responsibility and my role? Politics is about fundamentally bringing people together. If you can't do that, then you are not effective in what you're doing. If you cannot have a groundswell, and if you cannot unify people, which is evidently what we could not do in the last election, if you can't do that, then we have to have people who can do that. You have to have people who have a heart for the country, who are about service, who are about ideas, and who the majority of people can gravitate around. If you are unable to do that, then we're just wasting our time.
But it seems that persons that have been a part of this, tit for tat for so long, are holding on to a seat of power because perhaps they don't know what to do with their lives after they're done.
Yeah.
How do we try our best to move away from that sort of mentality?
Well, I think it's only power if the people give it power. So you're having a lot of these conversations with the opposition, and in reality, I don't watch it. And I don't follow it because to me it's a waste of time. What I want to do is I want to be over here where we're having national conversations about moving the country forward. This weekend I was at a conference in Miami which were talking about diaspora and integrating the diaspora into national development. Those people are really interested in the country. I saw the unions and they were, raising certain issues, and that's always a good thing because it adds to a new brand of the democracy, so that you would be surprised that people who think they have power really don't have power. They only have power because you make noise and people think that there's something going on there. But fundamentally the question is, how can we offer a viable alternative for the people of Belize? There is scope and there's necessity for a vibrant opposition. And without these people getting things together, we won't have that. And eventually what will happen is that I have read several parts of the Bible. And you have several instances where God would call people to do certain things. And when those people don't answer the call, immediately they jump ship to somebody else. And that's what's going to happen. If you can't get your thing together and we need an opposition, people will just bypass that as being irrelevant. And that has been the history of our country. The history of our country has been a history of change and transformation. And if those people can't get it together, people will say, hey, you know what, maybe somebody else can.
I personally think that perhaps we're teetering on the brink of the UDP being irrelevant in the national discourse, because, like I said, it would seem that they have been at it amongst each other for an inordinate period of time. If you look at any preparations for the last general elections, both sides did their own thing, took it to court, right? The elections came and went, they lost 26 seats, in essence, only 5 of them are in the House, and there's still this infighting. My question is, do you believe that if one has effectively resigned as party leader and another has effectively resigned as chairman, that they ought to have returned in any capacity to try to bring the party together when perhaps for all intents and purposes they were a part of the problem?
I think that fundamentally you have to recognize that leading a party is about being able to win political elections. And it has affected me negatively, but there's a provision in the UDP constitution that says that in order to be leader of the party, you have to be in the National Assembly. You have to either be an elected representative or senator. There's a reason why that's in there. There are those who say that we should change that. I am not in support of that. So that when you're looking at leadership, you have to look at somebody who is an elected member, somebody who has proven their leadership. They've won their seat, and they can then, you don't have to worry about whether or not that person can be elected. You know that that person can be elected. You worry about that person being able to rally the country and organize the party, deal with whatever policy issues you need to deal with, and take the party into an election. We're not there. We're the step before that, which is actually quite confusing, and it lets people think that, hey, you can't get your stuff together. If you can't get your stuff together, how can you be viable? So that within the current political landscape, to me, that's not a question. That's not a realistic thing. We need people who can win electoral seats and who have won electoral seats. And within the context of that victory, then you can lead a national discussion. This is the opposition, and this is what we're going to do. Because the other persons who would be in there, who would be kind of, you're just throwing a wrench in the machine. You have to lead with people who have won, and then you try to expand your plurality from 5 seats to 15 seats to 20 seats, and then you form the government.
Do you believe that this perhaps is the bitter fruit of failing to put together a proper succession plan coming out of 2020?
So my mom always tells me this. It is not how you found it, it is how you leave it. So my mom was a teacher for many, many years. And I had a reflection on this. And I like history, and I teach history in certain quarters. When in monarchical days, you had a king or queen. The only responsibility of the king or queen was to sire an heir. That's the fundamental responsibility. And so you have to talk about continuity and legacy. And you have to, when you're in office from the very beginning, looking at people who can rise up, because politics is not about one person, and it's not about personalities despite what we think. It's about the public good, and it's about the community and the political space. And as a leader, you have a responsibility to ensure that you leave things in a better way that you found it. And you have to identify people who can champion your vision and who can take the fight going forward. And one of the things that I always reflect on is that people who don't do that are victims of history, because history is written by sons and daughters. It is the future that assesses the past. And so if you don't put that succession plan in place, if you don't identify leaders who can carry a certain heart and a certain vision, they can't tell the story of your success, and the country suffers for that. And so I think that what we are seeing is we're seeing an evolution of those failures to put in place proper systems, because a party has to have that. A party has to have a quick, easy, democratic, accountable, transparent way to choose a leader, and then you move on. If you don't have that, that's a fundamental flaw in an organization. I don't know if I want to be a part of an organization that doesn't have that, because that means that you're about yourself, you're about personalities, rather than being about the people, which is what you are supposed to be about.
But we've seen that happen time and time again in politics. I don't know if I can personally assess what the opposition stands for, what their mandates are, what their philosophies are. Like, I can't sit here and say, you know, they are going to be championing, you know, liberal rights for A, B, C, and D. I can't, you know, safely say that about any of the parties in Belize. But that also has hurt them in the sense that for the past couple of elections, regardless of the in-faction fighting and so forth, people don't know what to vote for.
That's a big question. And one of the things that I have often seen in our politics, which I think is a fundamental failure, is getting the parties back to ideological lines, getting the parties back to a set of core principles, so that are you a party that is for labor? Are you a party that is for the environment? Are you a party that is for social rights or economic rights? So that even when we were dealing with the constitutional reform process, which was a beautiful process, I was so humbled by those who led that and participated in that, those emerged a set of policies and recommendations that could really move the country forward. But who is for that, and where do we talk about that? And so one of the problems with our political system and our governmental system is that even when you look at the National Assembly, they're not really discussing policies. And the political parties, we talk about manifestos, but those things are just gimmicks. And when the party gets elected, nothing happens. In terms of the vote, we are the citizens, and we have to keep the political people accountable to what you said you're going to do. And that has a whole heap of ramifications in terms of campaign finance reform, how we conduct elections, how we're dealing with redistricting, and all of these things. And one of the fundamental things which I think is problematic in our electoral system is that I believe that Belize's elections are free. Anyone can vote. We don't have discrimination. So any person can stand for elected office, any person can vote in an elections, but I don't think our elections are fair.
It's not
and we have fundamental questions in relation to that. And you cannot have, I would argue, with any person that we do not have elections that are democratic. You cannot have an election that has 10,000 people in one area and 2,000 people in another area and deal with unregulated campaign finance. And so you're seeing those issues lead into a lack of good leadership and a lack of good policies. And so until we really deal with the structural problems in terms of our democracy, you'll never get reform, and you'll never get change.
Here's the thing, Daryl. a lot of what has happened within the system has become endemic, in a manner of speaking. Because if you're looking at campaign financing, if you're looking at redistricting, if you're looking at any other aspect or tenet of what the system is, you have a lot of fundamental flaws. People take the $50 vote. We've been promised redistricting for God knows how long, and it can't happen. It's tangled up in court and a whole bunch of stuff, right? So how do we then, as you rightly mentioned, look at a system and say, it's working perfectly, it's working for the betterment of myself, for you, and the average Belizean person? It's broken for all intents and purposes.
No, but there are two things that are fundamental, and this goes back to the issue of the People's Constitutional Commission and their recommendations. You have to deal with some structural issues. So the system of government does not lend itself to promoting good democratic values. We have a system, and this has nothing to do with people nor party. We have a system of government that is too centralized and gives too much power to an executive branch with very little influence and power on the legislative branch, and very little influence and power in terms of civil society and the opposition. So we actually need to look at things like the public service reform, because the public service can be a good check and balance. Getting back to this idea of having permanent secretaries, getting back to the idea of completely and fully depoliticizing the public service. So if we have that as an arm of government, like for example, this idea that a minister gives you the key when they're building a house, that's something that they've outlawed in other countries, because that comes from your tax dollars. That's an effect of an efficient public service that delivers good government programs. The political side of government deals with policy, and so the minister will give the policy speech and we're going to deal with that, but the implementation and delivery of service should be depoliticized. But we have a whole system of, well, you go to the minister's office and you get this and you get, and that whole thing needs to be reformed. And then the second thing is, which oftentimes we ignore, is that we have to have questions about leadership. And that's kind of a thing where we need to just talk about it. And we need to just, like I remember when I was going to school, you had student government. How do we teach people? Like for example, I'm a politician. I've been in politics, I've been in the Senate, I've been in local government. I can't say that I've ever had a political mentor. I can't say that anybody has pulled me aside and say, hey Daryl, you know what? This is what you should do. This. So you already figure it out as allow you to go, and so we don't really have that culture and discussion in Belize about good lead. And this is not even in politics. We have it in business, we have it in the civil society agencies, but we need to have conversations about the ethical use of power.
But we don't practice ethical use of power as citizens. No, we practice abuse of power. And this is something that we don't just know about, we don't talk about politics only when it's election season. We don't want to talk about politics at all, because it's something where if it's not beneficial for me, I don't really care about it. We're not community oriented to talk about how policy affects not just me but everybody around me, and I guess those are the issues that now this is the type of governance that we have. But how do you begin to create that mindset in people? It takes a lot to convince people that change is good.
No, but you can do it, and countries have. So that you have countries in the world, for example, Singapore. You have countries over a relatively short period of time. You have countries like Colombia. You have Barbados. You have examples of countries within a relatively short period of time with successive leaderships that have radically transformed it. And there's no imagination about this. There's a science in relation to politics and social transformation. You want to develop institutions that promote healthy values, both organizational institutions and cultural institutions that could develop the right size of leadership. For example, I travel to Canada on a regular basis. I'm very impressed with the level of political thought, the level of institutional support, social services. We can do that in Belize, but we have to talk about those things, and then we have to put in place reform that deals with them.
Is there the social will to do it though? It's beyond the political aspect of it. Do we as a society agree that, one, we need to have some kind of reform that would put us in line with what all of these other transformations are in the various countries you mentioned? Then, are we willing? Do we have the level of maturity that we say, okay, let's put aside politics and let's just focus as a country on being able to move in this particular direction?
I think we do. And I think all people do, because it comes back to your question that fundamentally it is a self-interest because the government and the society works for some people, but it doesn't work for the majority. And so there is a self-interest because I want a good government. When I am visiting any other country, I was in Broward County, I see how good government can deliver for people. You have manicured lawn. Like I was there and I was kind of, wow, this is very impressive. You had a conference center. And the first question is, why can't we have this in Belize? Why can't we have a beautiful, bright, big conference center in Belize? But fundamentally, it has to do with these conversations. And I think at the end of the day, it has to do with leadership, which goes back to the question of the United Democratic Party. If you do not have right leadership, you cannot change anything. And it's not only leadership in a political level, but it's leadership in business, it's leadership in civil society, and it's leadership that recognizes first and foremost, it is not about me. It is about us, and it is about bringing these ideas together. And so if we have leadership here that is about an internal conflict that literally has taken more than 5 years, that's a long time to get stuff together. That's too long.
And the impression that is being cast is that it's about them.
Yeah.
it becomes the bucking of heads of two individuals who can't, for all intents and purposes, see something different.
And they leave the people behind because then they're not thinking about them.
And fundamentally then, if we have a system like that, we need to move away from that, because that is not furthering a national development agenda. And I think a big part of it is this question. I mean, it's kind of like a cop-out, but we have to have conversations about the ethical use of leadership. And I do believe that we can have that. And I do believe, because Belize works. I have seen areas, even guests on this show, I have seen Belizeans in the diaspora who really do phenomenal things with very, very little. I didn't even know, but our university has a medical school. And we have leadership there that's really transitioning the country in certain sectors. We need to build on those things. For example, a fundamental thing I always said is in human resources, when you're dealing with human resources, we spend a lot of our time dealing with the 10% of people we need to fire. The 10% of people we need to fire. So when we're talking about the opposition, we're spending all of our time dealing with this 10% of this. What we need to do is that we need to look at the 90% of people who are making Belize work. And we need to support and encourage those people and get it together with those people. And this 10%, we just cut that off.
I think one of our biggest issues as well, not just as political leaders, but as people in general, we don't necessarily have the patience to wait for the longer things to take hold, right? We want to see the tangibles now. And our governing leaders, they understand that in order for them to get elected, they have to put things out now. And, you know, those sometimes don't make for the best decisions. Sometimes we have tangible things that are done haphazardly because we want to be able to create this now change. How do we move past that and look at the intangible that should be able to work for us?
I think a lot of it has to do with public education. And as a leader, I believe a big part of your job is communication. You have to communicate a vision to the people. And when I was mayor, people used to say, oh, Daryl, you like up on TV. I had a 100-day plan, midterm plan, mid-year review. Why do you do those things? Those things are important because as a leader, you have to be mindful that you're leading people. And if those people don't come along with you and buy into the vision, everything is for naught. And so there has to be regular conversations. This is why in the United States they have State of the Union addresses. It's not because the president wants to go to Congress and give a big speech. You have to, in Mexico, the mayors do that. Everyone has check-ins. And I think we do not in Belize have a democratic culture that promotes this responsiveness on leadership. You always, if I have an interview, fundamentally you can't refuse it because the media has a fundamental place in public service. So you have to always be communicating this vision, and you have to tell people, you know what, in 100 days this is what we're going to do, but in 5 years if we put this in place together, this is what we want to do. When we were in city council, one of the big things that we did is that if you don't pay your property taxes, you can't get a driver's license. And after a short period of time, nobody complained about that. And they started to pay their taxes. Why? You see streets. So that if you actually communicate why you're doing things, even if it's penal, even if it has a negative impact, people will realize, hey, you know what? This person is harsh, but this person has a good heart and he's well-meaning. Make we try this, and it actually worked. And it is that notion of leadership that is a relational thing. If you have a leader that has a certain heart, the people are going to agree. They may not say that, hey, you know what, I want to do that, but they're going to agree with the vision and they're going to go with it. And that has worked in many countries.
Daryl, before we let you go,
sure.
Want to get into some personal stuff, right? Do you still have political ambitions somewhere down the road?
Most definitely. So I think that from I was a young kid, I've always wanted to contribute to Belize, and I've always wanted to contribute in the political sphere. That's why I'm doing studies in political science. I became a lawyer. I teach, so I do certain things that keep me very active in terms of politics. I'm still very active in the opposition, probably not in an upfront kind of way, but I think that that's a calling in my life, and that's something that I want to do, if not in the near future, in the long-term future.
In terms of what can we expect from you in the next coming few years? What can we look forward to from this?
Well, you'll see me talking about certain things. For example, I'm very mindful of the 13th Amendment and its implications. I am very keen on this issue of diaspora voting. So, there are certain issues that I think I could lend my voice to, but in terms of politics and electoral politics, at some time in the future, you're going to see my name on a ballot.
Let me interject briefly. Let's get your thought on the 13th Amendment.
So I think that I'm very concerned with that, and I do not support it. And the reason I don't support it is because you cannot deal with fundamental changes in one sense and not deal with structural changes in the other. And that type of power in a system overall that has inequalities and structural problems can inure to the detriment of a certain element of society, which we've oftentimes punished. So the face of crime in Belize, not that we don't have a serious crime situation and we need policing and so forth, but those kinds of fundamental changes to our constitution and our democratic tradition must be done within the context of other structural changes that rebalances the negative harm. So when you're talking about those kinds of serious powers, it's actually dangerous. I mean, when we talk about legal aid in Belize, when we talk about other kinds of things, it's not, our system is fair, but it's easy to go in the system and get caught up in the system. And you need to contextualize those powers with other powers. How can we prevent the fact that this tremendous change will not be abused by police officers, will not be abused by the system? And I am not satisfied that that is the case, and so I won't deal with that. You won't deal with it unless that is part of a slew of reform. And this is one of the things that you had asked. We need to deal with changes, not in a piecemeal way, but we have talked about constitutional reform. We went through a huge process. Incorporate some of those other changes along with this. Don't just do that, because that will just negatively impact poor people within our society, and it will negatively impact certain ethnic minorities and demographics within our society.
My question towards that would have been, how would you have restructured it in order to implement it in a ethical way that would be to the benefit of everyone?
So I wouldn't even consider that. What I would do is, there are other ways, I wouldn't tweak the Constitution in that way. We need to promote greater rights, not less rights. What I would do is that I would have dealt with empowering, and there are practical ways how you can empower policing with the police officers, with the community and so forth. And then we need to deal with, which we have never talked about in this society, we need to deal with more social rights. How do you deal with ensuring that people have education? How do you deal with ensuring that people have land rights? How do you deal with there's an adequate employment and so forth? So if we have those kinds of conversations with promoting a floor of social and economic rights as opposed to strictly political rights, then we can say, okay, then you did not live up to the benchmark. Now we can punish you in this way. What we have done is that we have kept a Belize that is very elitist and very good for certain people, that promotes a great degree of social inequalities, and when people in the lower echelons of society act out, then we punish them and we put them in jail. A marker of success in our criminal justice system is not how much prosecutions we successfully meet. That is not a marker of success. It is how we promote a quality of life that allows people to be anything that they want to be. So that if you say you want to be prime minister, you can be prime minister. If you say you want to be a nurse, you want to be a doctor, we don't have that in society. And so we can't deal with things that will only be band-aids when we have serious structural problems. And I'll give you an example. We're dealing with this, which is more than likely is only going to deal with certain types of crimes. What about corruption? What about the other serious kinds of crimes that we just look around and we ignore?
Yeah.
So we're just doing that, but we're not looking at ourselves, and we're not being internal in terms of our systems, and that promotes injustice.
Excellent.
All right. Well, I wish we had more time with you, but next time you do have to come back. I really want to get into that diaspora relations conversation.
Thank you both very much.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, we are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, it's all about Mental Health Awareness Month. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Safe during the rainy season, Belize Electricity Limited reminds you that heavy rains can cause flooding in your neighborhood and on roads. Avoid driving or walking in flooded areas, which can have hidden dangers such as debris and fallen power lines. Belize Electricity Limited cares about your safety. Please stay safe.
We at Fulltech Systems understand that technology isn't just a tool, it's a game changer. At home, smart devices and AI are revolutionizing daily life. In education, tech is making learning more interactive and accessible for students and educators alike. For businesses and government, it's driving innovation, streamlining operations, and unlocking growth, leveraging tech for better services, infrastructure, and security. At Fulltech Systems, we help you thrive with cutting-edge solutions, partnering with leaders like Dell, HP, Microsoft, APC, Fortinet, Cisco, and Tomy. We deliver the right products for your needs, whether it's boosting efficiency, improving customer engagement, or scaling operations. Connect with us and let's drive innovation together. Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you come for the price, but stay for the service.
As an athlete, orthopedic health is very important. Our bodies can be so strong and yet still so delicate. Injury is something that we cannot prevent. We could try to mitigate the risk of extreme injuries. However, it is very, very important that you know and understand your body.
As we get older, our bones are getting softer. It's hard to treat degeneration which already happened. The first treatment is a lifestyle modification and the support of physiotherapists. I am Dr. Sergey Adonin, an orthopedic surgeon, and we are watching Caribbean Medical TV.
Be viewing Caribbean Medical TV on this station.
In our world that's always changing, one thing stays the same.
Our promise as Smart Belize to keep you connected.
Connected to the moments, the people, and the future that matter most.
With every new tower, our service upgrades, and every new smile, we're keeping our promise in building more than a network.
We're building a future, a family as Smart Belize. From Punta Gorda to Corozal, we are here not just as a network, but as your partner in progress.
We have grown significantly over the past 20 years, and we just keep growing. Thank you for placing your trust in us. We remain dedicated to providing meaningful connections that bring value in every way that matters to you. We continue to bring people together.
Back to Open Your Eyes. It's all about men's health awareness and discussing Men's Health Awareness Month. We have joining us on the couch Dr. Jorge Hidalgo, and he's an internist over at Belize Healthcare Partners. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Doc. And of course, he's joined by none other than Ms. Kim Simplis Barrow, and she is the National President of the Belize Cancer Society. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
And welcome back, because we have been having health conversations all of June and into July. But before we get into the conference that is to take place this week, we really want to get both your insights on the public education, and important to even have these discussions in the first place. Kim?
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for having us. We certainly feel like the last conference that we had, which was under the theme for men's health, was very successful, and so we wanted to do it again with the support of the Ministry of Health and Belize Healthcare Partners and the Belize Bank. The feedback that we got was tremendous in terms of the exposure, the information that was presented to those that attended that meeting. So this year is our second year of doing this forum, which we are focusing on men's health, specifically cancer and mental health. So it's really about raising awareness. It is about destigmatizing the topic of men's health and mental health, which is so very important. It is promoting survivors who are sharing their stories so that they can inspire others. It's about providing a safe space for men to have these discussions with the experts, experts that can answer their questions. So it's immediate right there at the conference. One of the interesting things about the conference is that we have an official opening ceremony, and then after that the panels start. All the women leave the room.
Yes, I remember
because
that.
it's so important for, and we know this, men, they don't want to discuss
their issues
around women. There are a few. This year we do have a female panelist, Dr. Murray, but she's doing the first panel, and after that she'll answer questions and then she will leave.
How successful was that? Well, based on the results that you received.
It was very successful. The feedback that we've gotten was that they really needed to have that conversation. The men were, afterwards I engaged with some of them. They were very open about their experience and being able to ask specific related questions to different things. Well, Dr. Hidalgo was in there, and so he was a part of that, of those conversations.
Let me ask Dr. Hidalgo the following question. What prevents us from having these conversations openly in the normal course? Why must it be a conference or a specific space or environment for us to be having these discussions when it could be simply had between you and I at work or when we socialize or what have you?
Yeah, I think so, and thank you. It's very multifactorial, but one of the things is the way we are educated. We believe that we are powerful and we need to keep everything silent, and then we just basically share things when it's too late, unfortunate, and that's the thing that we want to change. We want to change the mentality, the culture, that the best thing is to try and to seek help before things are too late. As probably many of you know, a doctor and also, but also a critical care physician, every day I need to face and trying to share either good or bad news to families. But then suddenly nothing prepares as a physician to be in the other side of the equation, to become a patient and to deal with cancer. I mean that those things is a transformation, a total transformation to us that went through that. And then that's the reason why we say, okay, we have a social responsibility as a physician, but also as member of the country, to raise awareness and to ensure that men seek medical attention timely, and that we can be able to help in the same way.
I find that it's always difficult, and Lisani or Doc, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but it's always difficult for men to seek medical attention. There's this underlying stigma that being sick is being weak, right? So I'm not gonna go to a doctor because he's gonna tell me something's wrong and I don't got time for that. So I don't know, help me here, because I find that to be kind of...
I'll speak for myself.
All right.
Perhaps it's fair that I do,
yes.
Right? I don't see sickness as a sign of weakness, right? Well, not in its literal form, right?
Right.
But I think it's the fact that we're in denial that something is actually wrong with us, right? So for instance, you wake up, you don't feel your normal self, so you know you're off. Do I want to go and get checked out and then I'm told, okay, wow, we just diagnosed you with cancer, or whatever the illness may be? No, in our minds, I'll just sleep it off or just rest and hopefully it goes away, right? I think that's usually the approach that men take. But my question, it goes back to what I was asking earlier, is that if I feel that kind of way, I internalize it as opposed to saying, okay, let me sit down with my brother, let me sit down with my dad or my coworker and just have a conversation. Maybe they could point me in a certain direction based on the description of how I'm feeling. Men don't do that enough.
Yeah, you guys are the suffer in silence kind of type.
Which is a good way to speak about Men Against Cancer, MAC, this new initiative that the Belize Cancer Society and a group of men, including Dr. Hidalgo, launched last year at the Men's Forum. So we have this organization which is there to help people like yourself, people who don't want to go and seek medical attention immediately, but they can call this organization and they can help guide them to make the right decision, to go and seek help. Because what we need to understand is if something is wrong and it is detected early, you have a greater chance of survival. And that's our objective. That's the overall objective of the Cancer Society, to ensure that everyone gets detected as early as possible, because it means that you have a greater chance of surviving whatever cancer or whatever health issues you may have. And so maybe you want to talk a bit more about the...
Yes. Well, just you say right. The main purpose of those forums is to try to encourage people and also to create awareness, to bring to the attention that all these different scenarios, different situations can be, if they are getting on time, then we have a better opportunity to offer help in any way, and of course the chances of survival are better. No? But again, that's the thing, we need to break those patterns of those ideas that have been there for a while, no? And that we need to be more open and trying to communicate more. I mean, that with that intention also the forum is a very comprehensive forum. We have not only the doctors, the pathologists, the people sharing their own stories, the psychologists covering the mental health aspects. But most important than anything, we can spend time talking about the most important thing as Ms. Kim shared is that everybody will have the opportunity to speak up. And that's one of the major things that we see in the first forum last year. Everybody was speaking and talking and sharing, asking questions. And at the end, that's the most important and make us feel that we are accomplishing something.
And that's, I think, the beauty of that is the fact that as men, we finally have that space to be able to put our concerns forward, or to be able to just have the discussions that would enlighten us on services and how to access services and what have you. It's just a pity that it takes something like that for us to
have the conversation.
Yeah.
It's a start.
It's interesting to sorry, it's a very forward way of moving in this era of communication. I would wonder how you would be able to ensure that it's a conversation that happens after the forum is done. Because I find that we are the makers of our own situation sometimes. And again, please correct me if I'm wrong. It's just pure observation, and we're trying to do something better for ourselves, and then you sit in a group that maybe didn't go to the forum. And Isani says, guys, I went to this amazing thing. This is what we talked about. We had a wonderful discussion, et cetera, et cetera. And his buddies are like, nah, well, we know into that. And then they maybe start to pick at him doing this particular, movement.
No, so one of the things, and that's why we didn't want to do anything in a vacuum. We wanted to have some sort of continuity. And that's why the MAC, Men Against Cancer, was birthed, really, so that they can continue the conversation. So it's a group of men, including Dr. Hidalgo, Mr. Woods, Siska Woods, Mike Singh,
Juan Carlos Dusan, Dr. Ivan de Paz.
Right, and so they do presentations. They do presentations at Rotary. I think last week you just completed a presentation at Rotary. They will be doing presentations at like all boys schools or other schools and male targeted. I think that's very important that we start at a high school level.
Agreed.
Because awareness at that level is so very important. That is when I guess our men and our girls are becoming more self-aware, and so they can pick up on things that don't seem normal to them. So MAC will be the organization that will be doing these presentations at that level to keep the conversation going. And then hopefully next year we'll have a bigger space and more of our younger boys attending. I know this year we have the Boy Scouts that will be attending. I mean, the school is out right now, but the Scouts are always very active. Participants this year will be from the Belize Police Force, the Belize Defense Force, the stevedores from Port. We have from BTL, very male-heavy organizations who don't often get the time to go to the doctor. Right. One of the unique things about this year is that the Ministry of Health, the Central Health Clinic through the Ministry of Health will have a clinic present at the forum to be doing some checkups. I'm not sure of the extensiveness of the checkups, but they will be there checking pressure and different vitals for some of our men, just to give them an idea that it's a simple procedure. At times, that's all you need to check your pressure.
There's no needle that is involved.
No needle.
So the forum is July 17th. That's this Thursday.
Where 9 a.m. at Old Belize.
Okay.
Yes.
And you already have your participants and so forth.
Yes, but if anyone else is interested in attending, please call the Belize Cancer Society and so that we can register your participation.
You have it's under the team Strong, Smart, and Self-Aware, empowering men and boys for healthier futures. I like that. I think you need to encourage men to go to the doctor more often.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
In terms of what you would hope for after the end result of this forum, moving forward with men's health awareness?
Well, our main goal is, we started last year, and then we're trying to, from now on, I was mixed last year with the presidency of the World Federation, meaning it took a lot of my time, but right now my period is ending, meaning that we can have more time and dedicate it to this very important. All the group that we have involved right now are very encouraged, and they are with a lot of passion about these things, and I think so that's important. Our idea is like last month we have a couple of meetings with different groups, and we want to have as many meetings that we can schedule to create awareness. Probably go to the schools, go to different other groups that they have interest, express interest into have some guidance, and also to some ideas of what to do when it comes to men's health.
Men against cancer. What is the perhaps most prevalent form of cancer among men, and what treatment and services are available locally?
Well, the most common one is prostate cancer and colorectal cancer, and those are easy to detect. We can start to do our checkups for prostate cancer starting at 40, and when it comes to colorectal cancer, it varies, depends on what strong family history you have in terms of colon cancer. Then you are due for your colonoscopy earlier at 45. But if you don't have no history, then it's at 50 years old that you should have a screening, a colonoscopy screening. Those things are available in Belize for detection. Of course, we don't want anyone to go to a more advanced treatment. Our main goal is to say that let's try to go to do those checkups, trying to get things earlier to prevent. But if we get to diagnose, we would like to have this diagnosis on a very early stage when opportunities of treatment and survival are much better.
I also think that the conversation would continue on, which we don't have to get into today, in terms of not just availability but affordability as well for these types of treatments and so forth. But you said that they're available here, the detection, the diagnostics, they're available here.
Yes, these are available in Belize.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for joining us this morning. I guess we look forward to hearing the results. Well, I will look forward to hearing the results of the forum come Thursday, July 17th at 9 a.m. over at, I guess, the pavilion at Old Belize.
At Old Belize, yes. And of course, I must say thank you to our partners at the PAHO, Belize Healthcare Partners, the Belize Bank, the Ministry of Health, and yes, we hope to see everyone there on Thursday.
Hope to see you guys over there.
We'll be there.
Isana can actually sit in the forum.
Exactly, you can.
Thank you all so much. All right, we are going to take another quick break, and when we come back, we have more Open Your Eyes. Don't go away.
My name is Leomar Langzert, and I'm a teacher, and I bank with Belize Bank Independence Branch. What I enjoy is the safety features that the app offers. I have a sense of not having to worry or be concerned about somebody finding my password and username to sign in the application because of the use of the one-time password. And another feature that I love, that I use the most, is how the app synchronizes with my fingerprint on my device. I enjoy the rapid and easy, seamless process to apply for loans through the Belize Bank, and I don't have to be having too much back and forth to visit or take time to visit the bank. They also start to offer the online applications through the app for loan applications, which I believe is very neat. I would definitely recommend Belize Bank to other teachers because one of all the features and advantages that the app offer, with these online that Belize Bank offered, is basically everything that you can do in the palm of your hand. So I would definitely recommend the bank to other teachers.
When someone you love becomes a memory, the memory becomes a treasure. Greater Belize Media introduces the Daily Obituaries. The Daily Obituaries will broadcast all death and funeral announcements and memorials to honor your loved one's life and memories. The Daily Obituaries airs in Greater Belize Media prior to the evening newscast, with subsequent repeats at 10 p.m. and 12 noon the following day. It will also be placed online on our social media platforms, all for a standard package fee. Celebrate their lives and memories with Greater Belize Media Daily Obituaries. Honor in life and reverence in death.
Let's take a journey through the core functions of the Social Security Board. It all starts with registering as an insured person, employer, or self-employed individual. Sign up for a portal account to manage your Social Security information online. Just provide accurate information and click Create. This will give you access to a range of services and benefits. Next, your contribution, along with investments and other income, are collected and distributed into 3 funds. This ensures that the SSB fund is securely utilized to support various benefit programs. The SSB is committed to providing essential benefits such as sickness, maternity, injury, and pension. These benefits are paid out to eligible individuals as a part of the Social Security coverage. We help you navigate through life's challenges with financial security. Annual surplus accumulates to grow the fund each year. This surplus is invested into various industries, contributing to the growth and development of our nation. With each passing year, the fund continues to grow due to the annual surplus and interest revenue earned from prudent investments. This surplus, along with reserves, helps to bolster the SSB fund and provide a safety net for those in need. We've arrived at the end of our journey to better understanding how the SSB works. We remain committed to serving you and building a secure future for all Belizeans.
In our world that's always changing, one thing stays the same.
Our promise as Smart Belize to keep you connected.
Connected to the moments, the people, and the future that matter most.
With every new tower, our service upgrades, and every new smile, we're keeping our promise in building more than a network.
We're building a future, a family as Smart Belize. From Punta Gorda to Caraza, we are here not just as a network, but as your partner in progress.
We have grown significantly over the past 20 years, and we just keep growing. Thank you for placing your trust in us. We remain dedicated to providing meaningful connections that bring value in every way that matters to you. We continue to bring people together.
Good morning. Welcome back as we are entering the brave new era of tech and artificial intelligence. Galen is here to speak on how we navigate AI in education. Joining us on the couch, we have Dr. Dorian Barrow, and he is the Director of STEM and AI and Robotics Center over at Galen. Good morning, Doc.
Thank you very much.
And we also have with us Zane Duhene, and he is the Program Coordinator over at Galen University. Good morning, Zane.
Good morning.
And joining us via Zoom, we have Adjunct Lecturer Dale McDougall. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, gentlemen. It's all about, we're in a different era, Doc. We're in a completely different cultural time as we are trying to combat artificial intelligence, or not even combat, but
we're accepting
and how do we integrate it ethically into our society, particularly in education?
Well, first of all, thanks for having us. Galen, of course, have taken a policy position on AI. And we were delighted to hear that the region, CARICOM, via CXC, have also taken a policy position on AI, which is essentially to embrace AI, right? We really recognize the transformative potential that artificial intelligence has, particularly in the area of teaching, in the area of learning, but for us as universities in the areas of research, but also in how we administer the university. So what we have established is a policy on AI that have several components. One of the major components is how are we going to be integrating AI into the ecosystem of the university, right? Where everybody does AI. The faculty does it. The faculty utilize AI as a tool. Students use AI as a tool. The staff use AI as a tool, right? And of course, we provide services in that in that area also. For us, it is a very, very, very important tool that can help to drive learning, that can help to facilitate teaching, that can help to innovate in terms of research, right? And that can help us to provide greater service to the wider community. And that is kind of our orientation, which is very similar to the orientation that the region has in fact taken, right? Zain, for example, teaches in several programs, right? And he can talk in detail in terms of how we integrate AI into our classrooms at Galen.
Well, thanks again for having us. Like Dr. Barr said, and you guys mentioned, it's about integration. You know, we know it's here. It's here to stay. But I think across academia, we have been battling how do we develop methodologies and approaches that try to let AI be a complementary in learning. And I think what we have done is create a framework through this policy that Dr. Barr was speaking to try to let educators and facilitators start introducing concepts within their classroom. So what we have done, I teach in the disaster risk management program, and we have used AI to develop applications. So students came in with no technical or coding background, and we have managed to leverage AI by using that to do a lot of the coding and groundwork. And they have developed applications within 2 hours of the classroom, and the applications that are meaningful and that have a purpose, that have long been just concepts, but the students develop applications for disaster alerts, applications for emergency alerts, and they have done that coming from a non-tech background. So, you know, the possibilities of artificial intelligence are endless.
Let me ask a quick question here, and perhaps either of the three of you gentlemen can jump in. So we've accepted the fact that artificial intelligence is very much a part of our present and future existence. It's here to stay. You guys are in the education sector. At what point or where along the academic journey do you believe it's the fittest place to introduce artificial intelligence in the classroom? Do we begin at the primary level? Do we begin at the secondary or tertiary levels?
For me, I think it's similar to all concepts. At the earlier, the better. To promote its ethical use is where we want to go, you know, and the ethical use doesn't necessarily start with always introducing tech. So, you know, it's about research, it's about how to source AI within documents, because it's a good research tool, but we could teach you that just reference and give the academic accolades to who deserves it. You know, so we teach them that we don't
proper citation.
So it starts at an early age and it moves along your academic journey. So if we could start it within primary school curriculums, moving into high schools, it's better for us when they eventually make it to Galen. They already come with that knowledge. So it's foundational for them, and we now go into advanced concepts.
Let's get you in on the conversation here, Dale. You're an adjunct lecturer at UB.
At Galen.
At Galen, my apology. You and I would come from the old school where there was no artificial intelligence when we were taking our courses. As a lecturer, how are you dealing with the introduction of this particular tool in the classroom?
Good morning, everybody. Isane, thank you for the question. One of the things that I do certainly is I've had to shift my perspectives on the impact of artificial intelligence in education and learning. I am not afraid to say that initially I was one of the skeptics. One of the questions I had was, where do we strike a balance between the embracing of technology and academic integrity? And because I teach writing at the university, I teach a couple of the English courses there. I've had to find myself shifting my perspectives on how we approach teaching writing with the usage of artificial intelligence. For one simple reason, the students will continue to use it whether we like it or not. So why, instead of being resistant and get resistance from students, why not embrace it and help them to establish their academic voice that way? So what I do, because as Dr. Aguilar mentioned in an interview we did with Paul last week, we're sort of navigating through a forest that we ourselves as lecturers don't know what lies on the other side. Right. So, and then what we're doing is we're trying to help students navigate all of that. For my courses specifically, I pay attention to helping students establish their academic voice very early with writing samples throughout the course, make it interactive, make it interesting, hear their perspectives on some of the material that we teach, and pay a particular focus on the ethical use of artificial intelligence, because as a university, we're also trying to create global citizens to participate in meaningful global citizenship. So while we have our concerns with the usage of AI as a replacement, what my colleagues and I at Galen are doing now is using it as a tool to enhance the educational experience. So for me, I use writing samples early in the term to help them establish what type of writers they are, what their academic voice is, and then use that to help them develop their papers, particularly where research is concerned.
I think my question, because I was also a skeptic of using AI in the classroom as well. How do we ensure that we're not eliminating the human factor? And what I mean by that is tools are here to help us to make our lives easy, right? As you all rightfully mentioned, it's a complementary tool. It's not here to replace us. But how do we ensure that it's being used in a manner throughout all fields? We heard how Dale uses it in his English classes, where when they've graduated from Galen, they are not just self-sufficient in their specialization, and they have these AI skills, but they're still able to retain a particular human skill that can allow them to do meaningful and critical thinking and be analytical. How are we able to retain those skills?
Well, that's a very, 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 very good question. and it's central to the kind of research that I do in this area. I start from the position that we have to prepare students for the future that is going to be shaped by AI, right? And we have to do that within a framework. And the Caribbean, the Caribbean region have gotten together and have come up with a framework that we have adopted basically in our policy, where we're highlighting that there are levels, right? There are levels of which you could integrate this technology into your ecosystem, if you have a business, or into your life. Certainly the way how we do it, right, where we make it clear that it's not every solution needs AI, right? Many of the solutions, right? Many of the solutions don't necessarily need AI. Right. And so we have to develop at the same time those critical competencies, right? Critical thinking, how to work collaboratively, and these kinds of C's that they would be able to function in and out of that particular context. So that is a part of the experience too. We are not going to abandon that, right? Where the student becomes completely dependent on that, right? And then of course at the second level is the level where you're using AI, right, to generate ideas, right? Yes. And to support efficiency, right? So you're using it in a very specific way for a specific purpose, right? The other level is when you use it really, you have made your presentation, you've written your news story, and you're using AI now to help you to make that news story better. Because one of the things that we have to admit is that the algorithm, right? The algorithm is good, you know.
Depends on how you use it. Depends on how you use it.
It can write as good, if not better than most of us, right?
Okay, so I'm laughing, right? Because
just recently,
as news director, that's right up my alley, right? And I can pride that my colleagues in the newsroom are expert writers, right? But when it comes to having a discussion about the use of artificial intelligence in journalism, you have a mixed bag. You have people who would be proponents of using AI tools to assist in storytelling or news writing, if that were the case. And then you have the traditionalists who would cry holy hell that goes against the grain, right? But the truth of the matter is, while I can appreciate someone who's a pure writer, that person may not be able to conceive a certain angle to tell a story from, but when they plug it into an AI platform, it helps you to shape the direction in which you're telling that story, right? And so it creates, for me, a sense of an efficiency and a direction. If I give a reporter an assignment to go out and do a story, my first question is, okay, so what is your angle? So if you feed that into the platform, it could point out various directions in which you can tell the story from. Perspective, right? Versus sitting there trying to cram, how do I begin to, tell the story? Let's get you on this deal. Let's get Dale on this quickly.
Can you hear us? Dale?
Are you first, Dale?
Yes, I'm sorry, I'm here.
So we're having this discussion here on how the media uses AI to assist, really, and the way that it's able to assist in navigating the way we tell stories, the way we draft up certain news items and so forth, and not leaving the human aspect out of it. Let's get your take on that.
Oh, certainly. That's one of the challenges with that we have because I teach writing courses. So that's one of the challenges that we have. And that's one of the reasons I said earlier that I certainly help students establish their academic voice very early in the term with specific projects. Because one of the things that will happen with when AI assists with writing is that one of the cons of that is certainly the reduced human interaction, certainly, but there might be potential bias in some of the algorithms which make information that they will spit out a bit inaccurate. And so those are some of the cues that I look for when I know that certain students are using artificial intelligence. So instead of penalizing them for wanting to use the technology, I go about it in a different way. I would say to them, okay, this seems a little bit, this is outside of what you normally write. Explain to me what was the wisdom behind choosing this as your submissions, right? Your work. And ultimately, what we have to do now as lecturers is to look for those types of writing cues and to help students understand better why it is important to have their own selves, their humanness in the writing submissions. Simply because we don't want them to for students to get to a place where they have to consistently rely on AI because they're too lazy or they're unmotivated or they're uninspired. So I argue, well, let's use what you've come up with. Let's use what Gemini or ChatGPT or whatever you've used to help you inspire the work, to help you from a formatting perspective, perhaps, or to remind you to take writing and research as a place where you establish your academic integrity too. So by putting in the proper in-text citations, developing the arguments based on the research that they've done, that kind of thing.
Well, gentlemen, this has been a very insightful conversation. I think that we could spend a longer time talking about AI. It's still relatively new to us and how we can manage it, but kudos to Galen for taking that step up and leading really the education system when it comes to how we navigate AI in the classroom. Thank you, gentlemen, so much for coming.
Thank you too. Well, thanks for having us. Right. Thanks for having us. And we look forward to future discussions.
Indeed.
This and related.
All right, we are going to take a break and we're going to switch gears into some small business conversations. That's right. We have the owner of Creating Sweet Surprises with Delightful Sweet Baskets. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Make light work lighter and quicker with switch technology from Axi Power Tools. Axi Switch technology breaks the bondage of power cords and grants you the luxury of freedom and precision. Switch one battery across all your Axi line power tools effortlessly, allowing for quick and efficient work. Cut the cords. Choose efficiency with Axi Switch technology. Only at Benny's. Quality and savings.
In our world that's always changing, one thing stays the same.
Our promise as Smart Belize to keep you connected.
Connected to the moments, the people, and the future that matter most.
With every new tower, our service upgrades, and every new smile, we're keeping our promise in building more than a network.
We're building a future, a family as Smart Belize. From Punta Gorda to Corazza, We are here not just as a network, but as your partner in progress.
We have grown significantly over the past 20 years, and we just keep growing. Thank you for placing your trust in us. We remain dedicated to providing meaningful connections that bring value in every way that matters to you. We continue to bring people together.
As an athlete, orthopedic health is very important. Our bodies can be so strong and yet still so delicate. Injury is something that we cannot prevent. We could try to mitigate the risk of extreme injuries. However, it is very, very important that you know and understand your body.
As we get older, our bones are getting softer. It's hard to treat degeneration which already happened. The first treatment is lifestyle modification and the support of physiotherapists. I am Dr. Sergey Adonin, an orthopedic surgeon, and we are watching Caribbean Medical TV.
Be viewing Caribbean Medical TV on this station.
Unwrap the joy of crystal clear picture and sound from Iowa, the brand that offers you affordability and exceptional quality. Iowa has a wide range of exceptional products to choose from, such as TVs, speakers, headphones, home appliances, and much more at affordable prices that won't break the bank. Enhance your audio-visual entertainment experience with Iowa, and for your convenience, parts are readily available in country for hassle-free maintenance. You can find Iowa products at your local electronics store countrywide. Choose Iowa, the best in home entertainment and household appliances.
My name is Carlton Flowers, and I'm the owner of Back to My Roots Art from the Heart. And in this store, I produce a lot of handmade ornaments. Before I had access, it was a big problem because the tourist doesn't carry as much cash. We needed to have the machine to make the business a success. Dealing with the machine, I don't have to take time out from the store to go and, or send people to go to the bank. I would recommend Belize Bank Digital Service because it has done a lot for me personally. It has done a lot for my business. It helps me with paying my bills online, and I really appreciate that the staff took time out and teach me what I needed to get done. So I'm very happy that now I can do it confidently on my own.
Welcome back. The following conversation is all about empowering Belizean businesses through digital transformation. In studio with us this morning is Jorge Gentle. He's the manager of the Small Business Developing Center and unit of Beltrade. Good morning,
Good
Jorge.
morning.
And he's joined by Lorraine Lewis, the MSME Enhancement Program Coordinator for Beltrade.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. What's the latest from SBDC in terms of the services it's offering? I know you guys are staples on the morning show, always introducing something new and different.
Yes.
What's happening this time?
Thank you very much for having us here. We're here once again promoting, sharing the good news for small businesses and enterprises. We're here promoting DBED. So that's going to be an acronym for the next 3 years that you'll be hearing a lot, which stands for Digital Innovation to Boost Economic Development in Belize. It's primarily a grants program which has been designed in a way to provide enterprises in Belize over the next 3 years with grant funding to be able to adopt tools, softwares, and any digital tool that will allow them for improving their efficiency, customer relationship, improving sales, and in effect, the aim of it is to have the country also benefit of it with economic development. So over the next 3 years, we'll be having this grant program. This year in specific, we are looking at 95 beneficiaries, specifically micro and small enterprises being able to benefit from this.
So over the entirety of this initiative, you're looking at about 400 plus businesses?
460, yes.
460 businesses.
What is the criteria as a business that I need to have in order to be applicable for this program?
You must be
18 years and older. The business must be registered in Belize and have 50% Belizean ownership. You must be operating at least 6 months, and you must have a turnover of at least $20,000. Do a digital checkup, and the business must demonstrate some sort of growth in sales.
So I don't have to necessarily be a digital innovator.
No,
really.
the main goal of the program is to foster growth and innovation, right, through these enterprises, and this is going to be done through the integration of digital solutions within their organization. So it's teaching them how to get it done.
When we're talking digital solutions, digital service providers, it comes off a bit broad.
Yeah.
Can we perhaps narrow down what those services are, what those solutions may look like within the business scale?
I'm glad you're mentioning that, because it also gives us the opportunity to mention some of the key stakeholders within the project itself. The BED is an initiative under the government of Belize and administered by Beltrade, but we're doing it in partnership with the Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And also need to mention it's funded by IDB as well. What the program aims to providing, apart from the grant funding, we've been able to collaborate with BCCI and integrate their digital innovation, digital training, which they have, and actually they just had a graduation last Friday of its third cohort. And it's a 4-week training. It's on their e-learning platform, which looks at things like cybersecurity, marketing, customer service, and also financing or accounting for businesses. And it teaches them some of the tools that they can implement as a small business. Because when we speak about cybersecurity, there is an assumption that it might just be for large businesses. Right. But it teaches small businesses how to be able to use some of these tools. How our program then complements is that after the training, they're able to build their capacity and then be able to have a better idea of what are some of the tools to implement.
Yeah, I would imagine a lot of our small businesses that have been running for many years might not necessarily be as tech savvy or have that digital literacy that we're looking for. So this would be like a foundational training for them.
Yes, definitely. Actually, somebody at the graduation on Friday mentioned, well, they went with the idea that, digital transformation is something that they do in the business. And they mentioned, oh, well, we have our password. We use the same password for everything. And we tell, like, we know that. and then they realized that cybersecurity looks at things like double authentication, backing up to the cloud, having you be able to take care of your data, and all of these other things. So it was very, very enlightening for them that this program that BCCI has was able to build their capacity, and now our program now complements that now with that capacity they're able to have a better decision on what tools to implement.
Do you find that perhaps digital innovation is something that small businesses and so are gravitating to in Belize?
I believe that after COVID, they were kind of impulsed to having to do so. And we could see that a lot of businesses have been a bit more innovative on how they operate. Again, the norm was having a storefront, and you see a lot of businesses now having a digital page or a digital catalog, ordering from online. And again, we've been able to see some of these benefits and how this program aims to even accelerate that impulse that happened through COVID by having them use more, again, a little bit more advanced tools. Again, subscribing for our QuickBooks online program, and again, being able to use some of these. And I say subscriptions, but you mentioned digital service providers. There's a lot of businesses who have now become digital service providers, and we're going to be accessing these services that the MSMEs will be benefiting from local digital service providers. So again, there are some businesses that we have spoken to that are now creating accounting platforms or accounting apps, and we are also welcoming them to also apply to become part of the catalog so that the MSMEs or the businesses can be able to access some of those services.
How and where can businesses apply to be a part of this program, and do they need any sort of like qualifying documents?
So we want to take this opportunity also to ask the businesses to join our webinar this morning happening at 9 a.m. So it's a webinar that's going to speak a lot more in depth about the program, giving answers on eligibility, the criteria, who can apply. So we're asking to join the webinar at 9 this morning, being hosted by Mr. Gentle. And like Mr. Gentle mentioned, it's pairing, the importance is pairing these MSMEs with these DSPs, right? Helping them create a digital transformative plan. So how they're going to invest this $4,000, but they can apply through the website, through Beltrade's website. They can call our offices, visit our offices. We again speak about the advising services that we offer. So we have business advisors that will be willing to assist them with the application process as well.
How can they join the webinar this morning?
A link.
Yes, it's actually on our beltrade.bz/dibed, DIBED. There you'll see all of the overview of the program, eligibility criteria. It also has a link to click to join and register for this morning's webinar
and it's
as well.
also going to be live on our Facebook page.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes.
So
The Beltrade
get
Facebook page.
questions through that as well.
Yes.
Wonderful. Well, we look forward to seeing more details through this webinar, and of course, head on over to www.beltrade.bz for more information how you can be a part of this new digital journey for your small business.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having us.
All right. We're going to take another quick break, and we'll be back with more Open Your Eyes. Don't go away.
And I'm a teacher, and I bank with Belize Bank Independence Branch. What I enjoy is the safety features that the app offers. I have a sense of not having to worry or be concerned about somebody finding my password and username to sign in the application because of the use of the one-time password. And another feature that I love, that I use the most, is how the app synchronizes with my fingerprint on my device. I enjoy the rapid and easy, seamless process to apply for loans through the Belize Bank, and I don't have to be having too much back and forth to visit or take time to visit the bank. They also start to offer the online applications through the app for loan applications, which I believe is very neat. I would definitely recommend Belize Bank to other teachers because one of all the features and advantages that the app offer with these online that Belize Bank offered is basically everything that you can do in the palm of your hand. So I would definitely recommend the bank to other teachers.
This is the new era of the Mexican Caribbean. A whole spectrum of colors and hues, multi-dimensional cuisine, holographic beaches. The true new era is within you.
Veracidad, imparcialidad.
Este es el término utilizado.
Hemos estado haciendo el trabajo como organización.
Y tus noticias en español.
Están en aguas beliceñas, entonces esta bandera se queda aquí.
Sintoniza Canal 5 cada viernes a las 7 de la noche.
Tenemos que resolver los grandes problemas de este país.
Su voz importa, su acción cuenta.
Transfusión sanguínea, elementos que indican un deterioro evidente del estado de salud.
Somos Noticiero 5 Semanal.
Perdió la vida en un heroico intento de proteger a su hermano. El Tribunal de Magistrados de la ciudad de Belice se paralizó. La policía está investigando 2 asesinatos separados.
Tu fuente de información.
Joining us for our next conversation, it's all about strengthening human rights advocacy among youth in Belize with the University of Belize. And joining us, we have Ms. Abby Godoy, and she is the project coordinator of the EU Human Rights Project. Good morning, Abby.
That's right. Good morning. I'm so happy to be here today.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. And of course, it's a very broad conversation when we're talking about human rights.
It's so broad.
Right? But the project itself is a collaboration between the University of Belize and the EU. Let's talk about that for a second.
So the European Union is funding the project, and the project is being implemented by the University of Belize. So our office is in Belmopan at UB, so you can always find us there. And while it's a very big scope, if you look at our really great poster, there's 3 pillars, which is academic research, capacity building, and human rights education. So this is year 1, and so we're focusing on academic research. So that's what the entire year is about, and I'm happy to talk about some of the projects that we have coming up in that area. So for example, right now we have a call for the Journal of Belizean Research, which is a special call on human rights. So apart from teaching people about human rights, when you look into the research about what's happening in human rights in Belize, you sometimes are hard-pressed to find something outside of Belize's UPR. And so we're hoping to build out some of that by accepting papers from anyone, anywhere, who is doing research in Belize related to human rights. So that's one of the first things that we're doing, but also we're currently working on our national survey, and so there will be a national survey that we'll disseminate between November and February of 2026, which will kind of gauge what the perceptions of human rights are, what do people know about human rights. So that part isn't just focused on youth, like we have a target for youth responses, but we'll be sharing that with the entire public. And so we're hoping to see what people think about human rights, what do they know, because what we know from initial conversations is people kind of know what human rights are, and they usually try to pigeonhole it into human rights are only for these select people and they don't care about my rights. But no, human rights are for everybody. And people often think, oh, but if you're a human rights champion, that means you want to infringe on my rights. Like, no, I want to protect everybody's rights. And the problem about human rights is if you don't know your rights, how can you defend them?
If you don't know your rights, you'll be trampled upon. Your rights will be trampled upon, right?
In every sector of life. It's not just for a specific group of people.
How has the intake of these academic papers been? And I ask that because you touched on a very important note that when you try to research on human rights in Belize, there are only certain policy documents that you get from the government, and then there's nothing else really. Right. So how is that going? Are you receiving papers?
We have received, so right now the paper proposal is what we're getting, and so the full paper isn't due right now. So the first deadline that we have is July 30th, and that is for your proposal. So even if you don't have a full fleshed out paper, you can submit the proposal, and if you need guidance, we can help guide you through that writing process. Because people think that, oh, I need to do all of this really hard work and whatnot. But like, no, a lot of human rights research is a lot of lit reviewing and going and making connections. So once you have an interest in research on a specific area, you're good to go. We have gotten some submissions. They're very exciting. I think people will be really surprised when they see what people are working on in human rights. But the hope is that we will get enough submissions to make a published book.
Oh, wow.
Ambitious?
Very ambitious indeed.
Yeah.
And how has the University of Belize, particularly the research office, been able to, I guess, inspire young persons, young youths and academic researchers, students, not just at UB, but among the tertiary level institutions to get to be a part of this?
Yes. So I'm actually so glad you brought the research office up. As you can see, the project lives within the research office, and I think that the work that's happening at UB within the research office is so amazing, and it does not get enough attention. So I recently went to a research conference vibe where a lot of people who have submitted research and published research within the university got a chance to present their papers. And there's so much happening within that realm, and it's just crazy to me that like people are always like, oh, no one's doing anything, no one's doing, but they are. We just don't see it.
Published.
It's not published. It is published. It's just not made public, or people don't engage with it. So I think that what the research office is doing through this project is I'm always on the ground. I'm always around the university, so you will always be able to see me, find me, and so that's one of the ways that we have that front engagement is that there is now a point person specific to the project. So you can always find us. We have office hours that people can just drop in. And it's not just for UB students. We are working with all at-lib institutions. And so we're also now having another exciting thing that comes out of the project. So 3 weeks ago, we had a public call for a youth and CSO representative. So 2 different calls. So it was open to youth, and then there was one specific to somebody working within civil society. And so we actually got so many great responses to the youth one that we've decided to create a youth advisory team that will work separately from the PSC. And so that's really exciting because it's so amazing to see that youth really want to engage and they want a forum to kind of share their ideas. And some of the things that they said in their writing is just the depth of knowledge of human rights and how much they want to help further that cause is so amazing, because I feel like so many times the narrative that wins is, oh, the youth don't care about anything, but that's not true. Clearly they do. It's just that they don't have a space to bring that forward.
So I just wanted you to quickly, before we wrap up our session this morning, when is the call for papers deadline for the Journal of Research?
July 30th is the call for paper proposals. So we're doing like abstracts first, and then we'll see how we can transition that into a full paper.
Okay, and that is July
30th.
All right, and anybody, how can they get a hold of you to send in their proposals?
It's super easy. You can get a hold of us by just emailing humanrights@ub.edu.bz.
Okay, and they can just send their abstracts there.
Whatever. Any questions, ideas, suggestions, anything you want, send it there.
And how can they find out more about this initiative?
At the university page, Facebook, we're online.
Okay. All right. Well, Abe, thank you so much for joining us this morning, and we hope that you can come back again. But do you have any final thoughts before we leave?
I just want the public to know that human rights is well and alive in Belize, and if you have any interest in engaging, we're here and we're happy to listen.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. We're going to take our final break, and we'll be right back. Don't go away.
During the rainy season, Belize Electricity Limited reminds you that heavy rains can cause flooding in your neighborhood and on roads. Avoid driving or walking in flooded areas, which can have hidden dangers such as debris and fallen power lines. Belize Electricity Limited cares about your safety. Please stay safe.
We at Fulltech Systems understand that technology isn't just a tool, it's a game changer. At home, smart devices and AI are revolutionizing daily life. In education, tech is making learning more interactive and accessible for students and educators alike. For businesses and government, it's driving innovation, streamlining operations, and unlocking growth, leveraging tech for better services, infrastructure, and security. At Fulltech Systems, we help you thrive with cutting-edge solutions, partnering with leaders like Dell, HP, Microsoft, APC, Fortinet, Cisco, and Tomy Inc. We deliver the right products for your needs, whether it's boosting efficiency, improving customer engagement, or scaling operations. Connect with us and let's drive innovation together. Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you come for the price, but stay for the service.
As an athlete, orthopedic health is very important. Our bodies can be so strong and yet still so delicate. Injury is something that we cannot prevent. We could try to mitigate the risk of extreme injuries. However, it is very, very important that you know and understand your body.
As we get older, our bones are getting softer. It's hard to treat degeneration which already happened. The first treatment is lifestyle modification and the support of physiotherapists. I am Dr. Sergey Adonin, an orthopedic surgeon, and we are watching Caribbean Medical TV.
Be viewing Caribbean Medical TV on this station.
In our world that's always changing, one thing stays the same.
Our promise as Smart Belize to keep you connected.
Connected to the moments, the people, and the future that matter most.
With every new tower, our service upgrades, and every new smile, we're keeping our promise in building more than a network.
We're building a future, a family, as Smart Belize. From Punta Gorda to Corozal, we are here not just as a network, but as your partner in progress.
We have grown significantly over the past 20 years, and we just keep growing. Thank you for placing your trust in us. We remain dedicated to providing meaningful connections that bring value in every way that matters to you. We continue to bring people together.
Welcome back. We are highlighting small businesses in this conversation, and joining us is the owner of Delightful Sweet Baskets, Arla Cherrington. Good morning, Arla.
Good morning. Good morning, guys.
Delightful Sweet Baskets. It's a mouthful, but but very well so, because you have these amazing treats here for us this morning. But
yeah,
how long has your business been operational?
So yesterday, the 13th of July, was my first anniversary.
Congratulations.
So just celebrating today. Yes.
How have you seen that your progress within just the course of 1 year?
Actually, a lot. I started, I always loved baking. I worked with Digi for 26 and a half years. With working there, I used to always bake on the side.
Okay.
So it was always a love.
Yeah.
And when I had big jobs, I would take the vacation and I would do jobs for Digi. So they were always my supporter and still one of my biggest supporters. And I left, I had a dream. I took a leap of faith and I didn't expect it to be so overwhelming. I have so much support, I have so many customers. It grew in, I'd say maybe 3 months' time. I had business. If you notice, I do gift baskets as well. It's not just sweets, I do gift baskets. And I also started, maybe like 6 months after, I started to do decor, small decor. So I do custom balloons, like small mini parties, nothing big. I would do personalized balloons as well, and it just grew.
I just find that catering is something kind of it's a very neat skill, putting both something that is delicious and something very artistical into one package. But you've kind of expanded out and you've done your baskets and other things. But what is it that people really want out of a nice catering business?
Oh, so one of the key things which a lot of my customers come back to say, they love that my delivery always tastes really well. Like the quality is always there. So they would say sometimes they would buy maybe from a customer, it looks beautiful but it doesn't taste nice.
Yeah.
So my key is to always make it delightful, delicious. You need to have the taste so that you come back. The taste needs to be there. That is important.
Indeed.
So you worked at Digi for 26 plus?
26 and a half.
At what point did you realize that this was your actual calling? Because you've been doing this for some time.
Yeah, I've been doing it for some time.
And you've been getting better and better at it. What point did you say, you know what? Let me indeed take that leap of faith and try it on my own, separate and apart from what I've been used to for 26 and a half years?
I think a personal growth of wanting something for me, just for me, something that would make me completely happy.
Yeah.
Doing something that I enjoy. One of the things I used to always do is also make these baskets. If you could look at the basket there, I used to make them before, but it was not to this point where it's actually shrink, where it looks store-bought.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I knew that I was in the direction, I was guided by good women who also shares their knowledge along. I had a beautiful lady that taught me how to make the basket, shrink it, that it looks like you bought it in the store. And there you can also see the cup is also personalized with my logo there. So I also do that as well. So you could get the basket personalized, but also get like a nice little cup or something in there personalized just for you.
Yeah. I think that persons that are looking at, you know, taking that leap of faith, because it is really an investment, right? You have no idea what's going to come out of something like this. How do you encourage persons that are at that tipping point of, I want to do this, but I don't know how to begin or if I should?
Okay. So truthfully, my answer to that, pray about it. That's what I've been doing. I'm very spiritual, and I did that before I made the decision. I was prior before, and I don't think it was the right time. And when it is the time, you know. And you'll see the direction, and you'll see pathway open, and don't be afraid. Take a leap of faith. And things work out even better than you expected.
Do you only have an online front at the moment?
At the moment.
Where do
what are the plans?
Yeah. Well, hopefully, I guess everybody has a dream some days that I could open a pastry store. And so, yeah, I have my goals. And you have to work towards it. So,
what sets you apart from other caterings and other, you know, bakeries and so forth in Belize?
Well, one, in getting a complete package, because you could get a package of something sweet. You could get the gift basket. You could also get a little decor on the side. You get a full little basket, personalized something where, while you might have to go something somewhere, go get this somewhere else, you get a full little package right at me. And then everything being nice. So it tastes good, it looks good, create beautiful memories.
What does this 1 year milestone mean for Arla and growing her business?
It means a lot to me. Celebrating life on a whole, living your dream is something that you should celebrate. For my first year anniversary, so today I'm giving away this gift basket. If you go on my page, Delightful Sweets and Basket, like the page, and are some guidelines of how to get in the raffle at 7 p.m. tonight, so you still have time to do now if you want to. And you'll also, one of the winners will also get a pumpkin pie, and another winner will get $150 gift certificate, which they can choose what they like. So you could get a cake, or you could get a custom column for a party, or if you like, you get a gift basket, or both.
Okay.
Right? So that's the thing, where you could get a package.
You just celebrate big for your anniversary.
Yes.
If I want to create something, or am I requesting something customary, something that is just for me, something that you don't necessarily have on your menu, can I do that?
Yeah, I mean, reach out. If there's a case that I don't have it right away, I'm honest. I won't take on the job and tell you that I can, because I believe in honesty. That's the way you keep your customers. That's my personality. First of all, I believe in that. So if I can't, I'll let you know, but I'll tell you, I'll get back to you, and I'll let you know. And you might just be one of my testers in tasting before I launch it.
I like that.
So,
I can do that. So cakes, cupcakes, customer baskets, what else do you offer?
I do many types of pastries. I do brownies, I make potato pong, I make cassava pudding, lemon pie, cheesecake.
You're really busy in the kitchen.
She is busy. I'm very gifted with hands. Grateful to God for that.
And do you have them readily available, or is it just by order?
No, just by order and 48 hours in advance. So you need to let me know early that you could get the order, and then of course I do deliver. I incorporate it in my price, and yeah. So.
Arla, how can people get a hold of you for these orders?
So you could contact me at 607-3612. That's my direct number. And you could either go on the page and then just maybe send me a message from my Facebook or on Instagram as well.
That's Delightful Sweet Baskets on Facebook and Instagram
as well.
Wonderful, Arla. Well, you know what? Thank you so much for sharing your wonderful gift with us. And just once again for our viewers, how they can be a part of the raffle.
Yes, so again, it's going to be raffled by 7 p.m. 3 winners will be uploaded on the page. You must like the page, and then you tag one person that is not hasn't liked the pages yet, and you share it with family and friends, and that's it. And you could share it as many times. So if you share it 15 times, you're going to get 15 chances.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah, and that gets raffled 7 o'clock tonight.
All right, so they should be looking out on your Facebook
on my
page
Facebook
if they
page,
won.
yes. But make sure you like and follow so that you're always updated of what I'm doing, upcoming, something coming new that I have that I'm working on. You'll be able to see it if we're going to be somewhere at some event. You can know. So.
Well, congratulations on your 1-year anniversary, and we look forward to seeing the rest of your growth.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. And we also want to say a big thank you to all of our guests. Islana, we had a jam-packed Monday.
Yes, we did.
But thank you to our viewers as well for tuning in and starting your morning right. It is July 14th. And if you have a birthday today, happy birthday to you from all of us here at Open Your Eyes. And if you have a birthday shout out or just a question or a comment, you can drop us a line right here at oye@channel5belize.com. You can also catch us live every day on Facebook at Open Your Eyes BZ and on Instagram at OYE-Belize. You can also text us on our OYE number, that's 675-2555. And please do us the favor and join us again tomorrow when you open your eyes
To start your morning right.
Be sure to keep your eyes, your minds,
And your hearts open.
and of course, please join us for our second live episode of KTV The Remix. That's tomorrow, Tuesday, July 15th at 8 p.m. right here on Greater Belize Media. We'll see you soon, Belize. Bye.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank, our country, your bank, and SMART, bringing people together.